Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aylin and today we are up close and personal to talk about all of the unread volumes of manga I have on my shelf. So if you have not been following me for a long time, you would not know that I think in 2020 discovered the horror manga genre. There we go. But before that, I was reading a lot of shoujo manga and bought a bunch of it all at once. So this first portion, the top shelf, it's going to be all of the like shoujo manga that I still need to read. And the purpose of this video is number one, to hold myself accountable, and number two, hopefully maybe you guys can give me some recommendations on manga that I don't own or manga that I do own that I desperately need to get to that I haven't read yet. This kind of gives you a better gauge of my reading tastes. I'll talk about like why I initially picked it up type of thing, maybe who I saw talk about it. I also wanted to film this video because every single year it is a goal of mine to, by the end of the year, read all of the unread manga and graphic novels that I own, like by the end of the year, so that when January comes around I have 0 unread manga, and any manga that I acquire during the next year would be like the TBR manga and it's not so backlogged. I always feel like this goal is very attainable because I read them very quickly. So if I just sat down and read straight manga for like a week or two, this goal would be no problem, but I never do that. So hopefully this will help to hold me accountable, and I'll keep a tally. It's gonna hurt, but I think it needs to happen. So we're in a very small corner. I'm just gonna go through, talk about the ones that I haven't read. If you want an opposite video of the ones that I have read so that maybe you guys could kind of get a better gauge on what I like, I'll talk about my ratings and everything, let me know. I'm more than open to do like a part 2 type of thing to this, or in the future I can just do an actual part 2 to this video on manga that I haven't read yet, and hopefully none of these will be on that list. This intro has been way too long, so let's just get started. Starting up on this top shelf out of frame where you can't see it, we have Blue Flag Volume 6 and Blue Flag Volume 7. I went ahead and purchased all of the manga volumes that I could possibly find in store of this manga series when I first read like the first 2 or 3 volumes. I think I have a vlog of that. It's like a 24-hour reading vlog. If you're interested in watching it, I'll have it linked below. But I love this series. I didn't love volume 5, which is why I haven't read volumes 6 or 7 yet, which is really embarrassing. Maybe this month. I say that every time because manga feels so attainable, but I'm just very apprehensive. So let me know if these are disappointing or not. I think I've heard that one of these is like the best one and another one of these is like the worst one. I don't remember which one was which though, which again makes me really nervous. Essentially, this is a shoujo manga about this friend group, these 2 boys who have been best friends and these 2 girls who have been best friends. One of the girls has a crush on one of the guys and she goes to the other guy to get him to kind of help her get in with his best friend. And based on that synopsis, I don't think it's going to go where you think it's going to go, but it's good. Working my way down from that, I also have Watakoi Volume 2. This is How to Fall in Love with an Otaku Volume 2. I read the first one during the Reese readathon that we no longer host because our schedules are way too busy, but I read it on a live and I wasn't sure how I was feeling, but the things that I was like, I can't tell if this is a joke or not, and that's what's making me uncomfortable. I asked you guys about it and you said it was a joke, so it made me want to continue on with the series, and I do still really want to read it because it was such a fun manga. So again, I just need to like sit down for an hour and plug away at this. The next 3 I got all at once. They don't go together at all. The only similarity that they have is that they are shoujo manga. Living Dining Kitchen. This one is about Prince who moves into an apartment near this girl and he rejected her friend, and then I think her apartment floods so she has to live with him. Love and Focus. This is about a girl, like a really quiet girl, likes taking pictures, really likes photography, but she doesn't have very many friends, and I think maybe she joins the newspaper or something. That's as I'm trying to get in here. And then I have Shortcake Cake, which I've heard amazing things about, but I don't really remember what it's about. The next 2 are by the same mangakon, so I have Love Me Not Volume 9. I don't think I've read this one. It's been a long time since I've picked up this series, so I would have to go to my Goodreads, but I'm including it because I don't think I've read it. And then unread, these are both by Iyosaki Saka. Unread, I really enjoyed the first one. I read it during the reading rush of 2020, lots of manga during 2020, and honestly from there on out. This one is about old friends getting together, but they never knew that the other one liked each other, and now they're kind of confessing to their feelings. This one is about a very complicated friend group, similar to Blue Flag, but it takes a very different turn. I really love this mangacon's work, so I need to reread the first one because it's been such a long time since I can picked up the series, and this one I should honestly probably reread the series as well. Then I have the first two books in a series. We have Horimiya Volume 1 and Volume 2. This, I believe, is about these kids who are very different at school than they are outside of school, and they're actually neighbors, they find out, and then a romance ensues from there. I've heard really good things about this one. I feel like it's a pretty popular manga, which I picked up very early on into my manga reading journey. Then we have one of the most popular manga volumes I've literally ever seen, and that is Orange Volume 1 of the Complete Collection. I have never heard a bad thing about this, to be honest. I know it deals with very serious topics and there are a lot of content warnings in it. This is very thick, which is honestly why I think I haven't read it yet. It has like a supernatural element in it where this girl gets a letter from her future self warning her about something that's going to happen and trying to get her to stop it because it's essentially one of her close friends taking their own life. So it's her trying to prevent that from happening, which is a lot of pressure, but I've heard amazing things about it. I've heard it's one of the saddest mangas ever, so I really want to read it. Then I have I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. First of all, this cover is one of my favorite covers I've literally ever seen. This is by Yoru Sumina, and the art is by Idumi Kirihara. This is about a girl who has a pancreatic disease that is fatal, and one day she's kept it a secret for quite a long time, but one day this boy reads through her journal, finds out her secret, a romance ensues from there, and I think he tries to help her to the best of his ability. Then I have The Promised Neverland Volume 1 by Kayu Shirai and Posuka Demizu. I'm so sorry, I'm certain that I'm butchering these and I deeply apologize. This one I think is about a magical library. I'm pretty sure this series gets really dark, but I've heard amazing things about not only the manga but the anime as well, so I wanted to pick it up. And when I heard magical library and orphanage, kind of gave me Narnia vibes and I was there for it. And then I have volumes 3 through 5 of Attack on Titan. My ex-boyfriend actually he wanted me to watch the anime, so I was like, let me at least read the manga first, and I do really enjoy it and I plan on reading these. I don't think I would have picked these up if it weren't for him, but I have heard amazing things again about both the manga and the anime, so I'm excited. It's been about a year since I read volume 2, but I do really like this. This is about a very small community that is protecting themselves from these things called titans that attack, and they're trying to figure out why they attack, and they haven't attacked in a super long time, but at the beginning of volume 1, there is an incident. The next one I don't feel too bad about, and that is Orochi Volume 2. I recently picked this one up, and it was very shortly before my move, so I feel like this one is a little bit more reasonable for me to have not read. This is volume 2 of the Perfect Edition. I read volume 1 and I liked it okay. It's horror manga. I'm trying to branch out of Junji Ito. Not that there's anything wrong with Junji Ito. I just want to read more from different manga cons and see if there's a specific thing that I like, because Junji Ito does a lot of body horror, which is fine. It doesn't really bother me that much, but I want to see if there's other stuff that I maybe prefer or like more or whatever. They're all stories surrounding a girl named Orochi, and they're just coming out in these really pretty bind-ups. Volumes 2 through 7 of Full Metal Alchemist. I really loved Full Metal Alchemist Volume 1, which is why I picked all of these up. There was also a sale, like buy one get one 50% off or something, or maybe all manga was 50% off, and I really like these editions, so I was like, how could I say no? Plus volume 2 was out of stock for quite a while, but these are about these brothers who are alchemists, and during an accident gone wrong, I think trying to bring their mom back to life, they accidentally really injured themselves and actually took one of the boys' bodies away, but his soul still lives in this like machine type of thing, and they're trying to reverse that. I've again heard that this one gets really dark, but I loved volume 1, so I'm very excited to continue on with the series. I've, like I said, heard amazing things. I've also heard amazing things about the anime Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So will I become an anime girly? Only time will tell. Next one is again quite thick, and I've started it a couple times but just not completed it. I couldn't get into it. I'm hoping that that is not the case forever and that I can get into it very soon. That is Ibitsu by Hiroto Ryo. This is a horrific retelling of Lolita, and that is all I know. Then we have volume 7 of Tokyo Ghoul. I haven't read this one because it's been quite a while since I read volume 6, so I need to restart the whole series yet again, and that's just a big time commitment when I have so many other books that I need to read. But in order to get this one off my TBR, I need to read those. So it's just gonna have to happen at some point. But this is about Ken Kaneki, who goes on a date with a ghoul in volume 1, and she ends up trying to eat him, and they both get taken in because they're in like critical condition, and she does not end up making it, but he does, and they use her organs to transplant, so he is half human, half ghoul. And that's kind of where the series takes off from there, and he's trying to learn all of these things about ghouls, how to exist in his new body, etc, etc. Then I have Kakagurui volume 7. This is a compulsive gambler manga series, which I love. It takes place at a private school that is kind of all centered around gambling. It's very cool. We are following our main character Yumiko, who is a really good gambler but also doesn't really care about consequences, which is alarming, but it's wonderful. I highly recommend this. I've gotten Rylan to read it, and I think a couple of other people as well, because it's so freaking good. But yeah, you gotta read this. It's one of the best horror mangas I've ever read. It's so dark and it's a lot, but it's so good. Look up content warnings before reading this though. Then I've got volumes 3 through 6 of Death Note, the Black Edition. I read volume 2 last year. These are quite lengthy. The series starts out with a Shinigami named Ryuk, who is a death god, dropping his death note, and a human ends up picking it up. And basically how the death note works is if you write a person's name in it, within 7 minutes they will die of a heart attack. But if you like add the specific way that they die, then they will die that specific way, and at that specific time that you put in. And so our main character, Light Yagami, is killing off people that he thinks are really bad and guilty people. So he's his own kind of serial killer, and the police start investigating him and how he's doing it. They don't know who he is, so they hire this private investigator, L, to help them out. But what's crazy about Light doing this is that his father is like the chief of police. Tensions are high, and you have to have their name and be able to see their face in order to write their name in the book. But like, yeah. It's so good. It's so good. But these are like 2 volumes in one, which is again why I think I put them off. But when I'm reading them, I am loving them. Kind of in that same vein, I have Death Note short stories, also by Sugumi Oba. It's just like extra Death Note stories. And then a very recent pickup of mine is Spy X Family, or Spy Family, by Tatsuya Endo. I have heard people talking about this one non-stop, and then Rylan recommended it to me, and it's basically about the spy who has to pretend he has a family, but his fake wife is an assassin, and the child that he has to like pretend to have is a telepath. So it makes for a very interesting dynamic. All right, last section is all of my Junji Ito books. Let's go through this as quickly as possible, and then I will let you guys go. I have read about half of the Junji Ito that I actually own, which I feel like is not that bad given how long some of his books can be. Starting off with Uzumaki, which so many people say is literally his best work, and I still haven't read it yet. I think it's because everyone says it's like his best work and it's so hyped that I'm nervous I won't like it, but I've heard amazing things about this. This one is about spirals. I read Tomi during December, and it was honestly kind of a vibe reading a horror manga surrounded by Christmas decor. I think I've also been saving it for that reason. Then I have my favorite cover by Junji Ito, and that is No Longer Human. This one is actually written by Osamu Dezai. I don't really know what the story is about, but I've heard really good things, and I like Junji Ito's art style, so I am very much looking forward to this one. It has one of the coolest covers I've ever seen. Like, are you kidding? This is one of my most anticipated Junji Ito books to read. I just need to actually read it. Getting into his short story collections, we have Smashed. Again, these are all short story collections, so they're about various different things. Shiver, I've heard that this one for people who have like trypodepophobia, is that the one, like the fear of holes? This one is really hard to read, but this is one of my favorite covers ever. I don't know why, it's just so aesthetically pleasing to me. And lastly, for Junji Ito and this freaking video, we have Censor as well as Frankenstein. This one is about like volcanic hair kind of taking over. And this one, obviously there is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in it, and then some other short stories, because this one is another short story collection, whereas this one is not. But yeah, these are the last two. All right, I'll put my tally here on the screen in case you guys are interested. It's not as bad as I thought. I'm sure the number looks terrible, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot worse, to be honest. So I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable with it. I would like it to change very soon, but it's definitely not the worst that it could be. And I feel like I have read a decent amount of the manga that I do own, which makes me really happy. I think through this video, I have realized that I need to get back to some of my shoujo manga, but I'm really excited about my horror manga. So now that I'm going to be unhauling my shoujo manga because I still want to read it, but it's very interesting to see how my tastes have changed. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below what you think I need to prioritize and read, and let me know if you want to see that other video where I talk about the ones that I have read and all of my ratings on them, so you guys can kind of get the full scope of my manga collection if that's something that interests you. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're doing well, reading, mentally, and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video tomorrow. Bye guys!